Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. I'll make sure this on. My name is Dan Skopek, and until last Friday I was the Undersecretary of the California Environmental Protection Agency. Prior to that, I was Deputy Cabinet Secretary in the Governor's Office dealing with energy and environmental policy. Just for the record, I want to make clear I left Cal EPA under no distress or turmoil. My wife is pregnant with twins and about to deliver, and this is children number 4 and 5 for me. So I decided that after 3 very exciting but grueling years with this administration, that I would spend a little bit more time helping raising the kids.
You have your priorities right.
Thank you. I look forward to discussing the administration's efforts to implement AB 32, and I commend the committee for holding this hearing. This law, in my opinion, will go down in history as one of the most wide-ranging and significant statutes ever passed by the California legislature. Moreover, I think the challenge placed before the ARB to meet the targets are more difficult than most of us yet realize. Therefore, it's extremely helpful that the legislature hold hearings to review the implementation of AB 32. My hope is that the committee's intent today is not political theater, but rather to gain a better understanding of the challenges California faces in meeting these targets. I firmly believe that as the public and the legislature come to appreciate the magnitude of the change necessary to meet our statutory goals, they will realize that a myriad of tools are necessary to do so. I hope that today's hearing can focus on the types of tools we can use to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I hope that the hearing includes a discussion of pros and cons of those various tools. I hope that the committee is interested in the costs of meeting these targets. And I hope that the committee members ask about the type of changes that California will have to make to meet these targets. I believe that these are the questions that the people of California are interested in, more so than why someone got fired or why someone resigned. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Okay. We will now take some questions and comments from members of the committee. I do feel, though, that I need to reiterate my disappointment at not having anyone here who was directly involved with the incident last week, which have called into question the ability of the Air Resources Board and its members to act free from intimidation and threat of losing their position if they exercise their best judgment and make science-based decisions regarding the implementation of AB 32. This needs to be more than talk. I would maybe have a quick question for Ms. Tutt. You have been at Cal EPA for quite a while. Does Cal EPA endorse the level of interference in day-to-day decisions of the board as described by Dr. Sawyer and Witherspoon?
Well, we don't necessarily agree with the allegations that Dr. Sawyer and Catherine Witherspoon have made. And I would say that it is extremely important that we all work together. We can't just say, you know, Air Resources Board, you go implement AB 32, and however you do it, we just want to kind of, we'll track it from afar. We all care very deeply about the implementation of this law, and we want to know. They need us too. We need them. They need us. We want to know how they're moving forward. We want to be able to talk to them about the decisions they're making. And we assume, based on the number of meetings that the Air Resources Board staff has had with the legislative members and their staff, that you also are interested in how they're moving forward and that you want to have discussions with them. So I would say that that is wholly appropriate. And again, I think there is some disagreement with the level of interference that the Air Resources Board or that Dr. Sawyer and Catherine Witherspoon are suggesting took place.
Madam Chair, I just want to ask, is what you're saying then is that the testimony provided by Ms. Witherspoon and Dr. Sawyer is untrue with respect to the interference and the day-to-day managing into the business of the Air Resources Board? What you're saying is that what they testified to here today is untrue.
I am going to say that I am unaware of that level of meddling and interference, and it described that way. I think it would be appropriate for the former undersecretary to respond if that's okay with you.
I think the characterizations that were made probably deserve to be in the fiction section of any bookstore rather than nonfiction.
So you're on the record basically saying that this is fiction, not fact. What in essence was presented to this committee here today.
That the level of interference that they portrayed was more fiction than fact. Yeah. There absolutely is close coordination between the governor's office, between Cali, PA, and between the Air Resources Board. And I think that's wholly appropriate because the governor ultimately takes responsible for the success or failure of this law. Everyone will hold the governor responsible. The legislature will, the public will, and the rest of the world will look at California to see. So it is in his interest to make sure that there's a coordination that's happening. I don't think that coordination has been inappropriate in any way. I think that coordination has been important. As Ms. Tutt said, it's beneficial to both sides.
I can tell it's going to be a long hearing, Madam Chairman.